We'll be conducting the training conference for conference ID numbers. 35 is GT47 construction of evacuation centers. Already has seven province. 35 is 0348 construction of evacuation centers. Phase 2 at the present province. 25 is 0849 construction of evacuation centers. Panutila present province is that's for today's duty. Our blood regular member, engineer Robert Eman, blood commissioner member for maintenance and connected projects, engineer Jerry Michael Yes, nursery developed chairperson, also in attendance, the head of the block secretariat, engineer Alex Sergio, and the members of the secretariat, Eugene Mohita, and engineer Karen Nicholson. Also, from the maintenance division, engineer Rafael for training on proceed. Target activities from online or on-site and even for unit procedure. Yes.
Good afternoon. I am Engineer Rafael Arepon from the Maintenance Division. Now I will present to you the projects under the maintenance. Contract ID number 25D0347, National Building Program, Buildings and Other Structures, Multi-Purpose or Facilities, Construction of Evacuation Centers, Region 4A. Construction of Evacuation Centers, Region 4A, Magallanes, Cavite, Cavite Province. Contract ID number 25D0348, National Building Program, Buildings and Other Structures, Multi-Purpose or Facilities, Construction of Evacuation Centers, Region 4A, Construction of Evacuation Centers, Timon and Quezon, Phase 2. And contract ID number 25D0349, Construction of Evacuation Centers, Panukulan, Quezon, Phase 2. Showing you here is the items of works. Part A, Facilities for the Engineer. 8.1.1 Sub A, Provision of Field Office for the Engineer, rental basis per month. Rental of an office space with a minimum floor area of 48 square meters. 8.1.2 Sub 6, Provision of 4x2 pickup type service vehicle for the engineer on bare rental basis, vehicle 1. 8.1.4 Sub 1, Provision of province photographs per month. Provision of one SLR camera and printing of 3R size progress photographs to record the exact progress of the contract works. Photos taken before, during, and after the work implementation to be submitted per month duly signed by the contractor provided with albums. Common items on Part B, other general requirements. B-Point List of 1, Permits and Clearances, lump sum for contract ID numbers 25D034847 and 35D0348. B-Point 5, Project Billboard Signboard, each. Installation of 2 Christmas Project Billboard, one at the beginning and another at the end of the project. B-Point 7 Sub 1, Occupational Safety and Health Program, lump sum. Provision for personal protective equipment or PPE, such as safety helmet, safety shoes, working gloves, dust masks, eye goggles, ear muffs, raincoats, and miscellaneous items such as medicine or medicine cabinet. The contractor shall provide qualified and experienced safety officer and first aider. B.9 Sub 1, Mobilization Demobilization, lump sum. Now showing you here is the standard project billboard. Now showing here is the minimum material testing equipment for small contractor. For contract ID number 25D0348 and 25D0349. The minimum major equipment requirements are the following. Now, for the minimum material testing equipment for medium contractors, for contract ID number 25D0347. Now showing here the minimum major equipment requirements for medium contractors. For contract ID number 25D0347, National Building Program, Buildings and Other Structures, for their purpose and facility, construction of evacuation centers region 4A. Construction of evacuation centers region 4A, Magallanes, Cavite, Cavite Province. Showing you here is the architectural. Now here's the perspective of the plan. Now show you here is the site development plan, the floor plan, the roof plan, the floor pattern layout, and the reflected ceiling plan. Now for the structural, showing you here is a greenhouse foundation plan and the greenhouse concrete roof detail plan. Now for the electrical, showing you here is a schematic diagram for the solar panel hybrid on-grid system. Now for the plumbing plan, showing you here is the water line layout and a schematic water line layout. For the mechanical, showing here is the ground floor automatic fire sprinkler layout. For the scope of work, earthworks, subgrade preparation, common materials, aggregate subbing course, PCC payment and reinforce, 150mm stick, 14 days. Structural excavation, common soil, embankment from structural excavation, common soil, gravel fill, and subscape. For structural, all structural works. For plumbing, catch basin, sewer line works, storm drainage and downspout, septic cold concrete, plumbing fixtures, cold water lines. For architecture, masonry works, ceiling works, doors and windows, roofing works, roof ventilators, tiling works, cement plaster finish, painting works, masonry, concrete, wood or steel, and railings. For electrical works, conduits, boxes, and fittings, wires and wiring devices, panel board with main and branch breakers, solar panel, generator, and lighting fixtures. Now for the mechanical, automatic fire sprinkler system, water pumping system, and water tap stainless. Now showing you here is the minimum major equipment requirements. Now here is the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 55,777,000 pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2025 RA 12116 extended regular 2025 continuing. Contract duration is 300 calendar days. Now showing you here is the majors and similar categories of works. For contract ID number 25D0348, construction of evacuation centers at Timolan Quezon Phase 2. For architectural, showing you here's this perspective. Ground floor plan, the roof plan, the floor pattern layout, and the reflected ceiling plan. For structural, showing you here's the greenhouse foundation plan and greenhouse concrete roof slab detail plan. For electrical, showing you the schematic diagram for solar panel hybrid on-grid system. For plumbing, showing you here's the water line layout and the isometric water line layout. For mechanical, showing here's the ground floor automatic fire sprinkler layout. For the scope of plans, earthworks, sub-grade preparation, aggregate sub-grade course, and PCC payments for parking and softscape. For structural, all structural works generator room. Architectural, masonry works, cement plaster finish, painting works, masonry, concrete and steel, ceiling works, roof ventilators, and roofing works. Plumbing, plumbing fixtures. For electrical, conduits, boxes and fittings, generator room, wires and wiring devices, panel boards, solar panel with inverter, battery and other devices, generator single phase or three phase, and lighting fixtures. For mechanical, wa- water pumping system and stainless water tank. Now showing you here some minimum major equipment requirements. Next is showing you is the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved the approved budget for the contract is 19,155,250 pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2025 RA 12116 extended regular 2025 continuing. Contract duration is 180 calendar days. Now showing you here some major and similar categories of works. For contract ID number 25D0349, construction of evacuation centers, Panamulan Quezon Phase 2. For architectural, showing you here some perspective. The ground floor plan, roof plan, floor pattern layout, and the reflected ceiling plan. For structural, showing you here the greenhouse foundation plan and the genset house concrete roof slab detail plan. For electrical, showing you schematic diagram for solar panel hybrid on-grid system. For plumbing, showing you the water line layout and the isometric water line layout. For mechanical, showing you here is the ground floor automatic fire sprinkler layout. The scope of work is earthworks, sub-grade preparation, aggregate sub-base course, and PCC payments for parking and softscape. For structural, all structural works in generator room. For architectural works, doors and windows, cement plaster finish, cement floor finish, glaze and unglazed tiles, painting works, masonry or concrete, wood and steel, roof ventilators, roofing works, and reflecting insulation and railings. For plumbing, plumbing fixtures. For electrical, conduits, boxes and fittings, generator room, wires and wiring devices, panel boards, solar panel with inverter, battery and other devices, generator, single phase or three phase, and lighting fixtures. For mechanical, water pumping system, stainless water tap, automatic fire sprinkler system. Now show you here's the minimum major equipment requirements. Now, here's the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 18,914 pesos, thousand pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2025, RA 12116 extended, regular 2025 continuing. The contract duration is 180 calendar days. Now showing you here some major and similar categories of work. That's all for all the projects under the maintenance. Thank you.
May question po ba? Ayan, sige, proceed.
Good afternoon, and now presenting you is the legal and financial. For base data sheet, ITP clause 1.1, the procuring entity is Department of Public Works and Highways, or Dpwh, Regional Office Number 4. The project title is as discussed previously. The identification number of the contract is as discussed previously. 2. The funding source is 2.1. The GOP through the source of funding is indicated below for fiscal year 2025 GAA in the amount of as discussed previously. 2.2. The source of funding is NGA, the General Appropriations Act, or Special Appropriations. ITB Clause 3.1, no further instructions. ITB Clause 5.2, bidding is restricted to eligible bidders as defined in ITB Clause 5.2. ITB Clause 5.4, contracts similar to the project shall be those described as follows. 1. The following is the major category of works involved the contract to be bid as discussed previously. 2. The following are the similar categories of works that shall be considered in the evaluation of the work experience required for the contract to be bid as discussed previously. ITB Clause 7, no further instructions. ITB Clause 8.1, subcontracting is not allowed. ITB Clause 8.2, not applicable. 8.4, subcontracting is not allowed. ITB Clause 9.1, the procuring entity will hold a previous conference for this project on July 30, 2026 at 2 p.m. at BD Group, Dpwh Regional Office 4A, Calubang Interchange, Barangay Mayamba, City of Calamba, Laguna, and or through video conferencing via Zoom and live stream on YouTube. ITB Clause 10.1, the procuring entity's address is Attorney Edward Martin M. Manales, BAC Chairperson. Telephone number is 049-348-102 Email address is procurement_r4a@dpwh.gov.ph. ITB Clause 12.1H, bidders are also required to submit the following documents. 1. Latest General Information Sheet or GIS reflecting the beneficial ownership information, BOI, duly received by the Securities and Exchange Commission or SEEC for corporations. And two, valid ISO 9001 is to 2015 certification or its latest version, issued by an accredited certification body when applicable pursuant to Department Order Number 110, Series of 2024, for meters classified under the following take-up size ranges and participating in infrastructure projects within the corresponding approved budget for the contract ABC. Large A, more than 300 million but less than 400 million, effective January 1, 2025. Medium B, more than 150 million but less than 300 million, effective July 1, 2025. Medium A, more than 30 million but less than 150 million, effective January 1, 2026. For large B contractors, ISO 9001 is to 2015 certification shall continue to be required for infrastructure projects costing 300 million and above. Failure to submit any of the foregoing documents, when applicable, shall be ground for disqualifications. ITB Clause 12.1H2. The minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel are the following. Include the Task Identification Number or TIN of all key personnel. Accredited Safety Officer required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to DO 98 Series of 2014. Submission of Construction Safety and Health Program approved by the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE. First aider with their certificate of training issued by Red Cross in compliance to DOLE requirements for the approval of Construction Safety and Health Program, required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to DO 98 Series of 2014. Submission of Construction Safety and Health Program approved by the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE. The key personnel should meet the following number of years work experience. 1. The experience means total years of civil works experience of any nature in construction and engineering consultancy services. 2. Compliance to DO number 169 series of 2025, guidelines on the accreditation and assignment of contractors and consultants project engineers. 3. Compliance to DO 98 series of 2016, revised guidelines on the accreditation of contractors, consultants, materials engineers. Number 4, include the contact number of the materials engineer. ITB Clause 12.1H3, the minimum major equipment requirements are the following as discussed previously. Please refer to DO 11 series of 2017 for the minimum materials testing equipment and DO 127 series of 2018 strict application of RA 9184 in the conduct of post-qualification of bidders with delayed ongoing contracts with the Dpwh. ITB Clause 12.4, the ABC is as discussed previously. Any bid with a financial component exceeding this amount shall not be accepted. 14.1, the bid prices shall be quoted in Philippine peso. ITB Clause 14.3, not applicable. ITB Clause 15.1, bids will be valid for 120 calendar days for bid opening. ITB Clause 16.1, the bid security shall be in the form of bid security declaration or any of the following. The amount of not less than 2% of ABC, a bid security is in cash, cashier's check, or manager's check. The amount of not less than 5% of ABC, a bid security is in bank draft, guarantee, or revocable letter of credit or surety bond. ITB Clause 16.2, the bid security shall be valid until 120 calendar days from the bid opening. ITB Clause 16.3, in case of extension of bid validity and bid security validity period, substitution of the bid security form is allowed. Bid security declaration in the following forms may be used. A. Cash or cashier's or manager's check issued by a bank. B. Bank draft, guarantee or revocable letter of credit issued by a bank, provided, however, that it shall be confirmed or authenticated by a local bank if issued by a foreign bank. C. Surety bond callable callable upon demand issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security. ITB Clause 19. The address for the submission of bids is Bidding Group, Dpwh Regional Office 4A, Canlubang Interchange, Barangay Mayapa, City of Calamba, Laguna, and electronically should be submitted at electronic bids R4A at dpwh.gov.ph. The deadline for submission of bids is August 18, 2026 at 10 a.m. For bids to be submitted electronically or online, the following procedures should be observed following DO 87, 2020. ITB Clause 21.5, no further instructions. ITB Clause 22.1, the date and time of bid opening is August 18, 2026 at 10 a.m. The place of bid opening is Bidding Group, Dpwh Regional Office 4A, Canlubang Interchange, Barangay Mayapa, City of Calamba, Laguna. ITB Clause 22.2b, not applicable. ITB Clause 25.3b1, 25.3b3, and 25.3b. No further instructions. LCRB is the one criterion. ITB Clause 25.3c1, not applicable. 25.5a, partial bid is not allowed. The infrastructure project is packaged in a single lot and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for the purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract award. In all cases, the NFCC computation is, if applicable, must be sufficient for all the lots or contracts to be awarded to the bidder. 25.5b, bid corrections shall be allowed. 25.6, no further instructions. 26.1, none, except for permits or licenses, expired during the bid evaluation and post-qualification stage. ITB Clause 29.3f, additional contract documents relevant to the projects are 1. Construction schedule and escrow. 2. Manpower schedule. 3. Construction methods. 4. Equipment utilization schedule. And 5. Construction safety and health program approved by the procuring entity. 30.2, not applicable. 30.3, the performance security shall be the for 1. The amount of not less than 10% of the contract price if performance security is in cash, cashier's checks, manager's check, bank draft or guarantee or irrevocable letter of credit. 2. The amount of not less than 30% of the contract price if performance security is surety value. Now for the special conditions of contract. GCC Clause 1.1, the intended completion date. 1.2, the procuring entity is Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH Regional Office Number 48. 1.3, the site is located as discussed previously. 1.4, the start date should not be later than 7 calendar days from its issuance date of receipt of the notice to proceed. 1.5, the work consists of as discussed previously. 2.2, not applicable. 5.1, the procuring entity shall give possession of all parts of the site to the contractor upon the receipt of the notice to proceed. 6.5, the contractor shall employ the following personnel: 1. Project manager, 2. Project engineer, 3. Materials engineer, 4. Construction safety officer, 5. Foreman, and 6. Geodetic engineer. 7.1, no further instructions. GCC Clause 8.1, the amount of the advance payment is 15% of the contract amount in lump sum. 9.1, materials and equipment delivered on-site but not yet incorporated in the works shall be included for payment. 9.4, the advance payment shall be repaid by the contractor by deducting 15% from his periodic progress payments, a percentage equal to the percentage of the total contract price used for the advance payment. 12.7, no further instructions. 13.1, the site investigation reports are done. 15.3, no further instructions. GCC Clause 15.5, In case of permanent structures, such as building of types 4 and 5 as classified under the National Building Codes of the Philippines, and other structures made of steel, iron, or concrete which comply with the relevant structural codes. For example, Dpwh standard specification, such as, but not limited to, steel or concrete bridges, flyovers, aircraft's movement area, ports, dams, tunnels, filtration and treatment plants, sewerage system, power plants, transmission and communication towers, railway system, and other similar permanent structures for 15 years. 19.2. No further instructions. GCC Clause 20. If the contractor is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. 25A. No further instructions. GCC Clause 27.2. Violations which will warrant suspension, which may include, but is not limited to, the following violations below. A. Failure of the contractor due solely to its faults or negligence, or to mobilize and start work or its performance within the specified period in the notice to proceed. B. Failure by the contractor to fully and faithfully comply with its contractual obligations without valid cause, or failure by the contractor to comply with any written lawful instructions of the procuring entity or its respective pursuant to the implementation of the contract. For the procurement of infrastructure projects or consultancy contracts, lawful instructions include but are not limited to the following. 1. Employment of competent technical personnel, competent engineers and/or work supervisors. 2. Provisions of warning signs and barricades in accordance with approved plan and specification and contract provisions. 3. Stockpiling in proper places of all materials and removal from the project site of waste and excess materials, including broken pavements and excavated debris in accordance with approved plans and specification and contract provisions. 4. The deployment of committed equipment, facilities, support staff, and manpower. And 5. Renewal of the effectivity dates of the performance security after its expiration during the course of contract implementation. C. Assignment and subcontracting of the contract or any part thereof or substitution of key personnel named in the proposal without prior written approval by the procuring entity. D. Poor performance by the contractor or unsatisfactory quality and/or progress of works arising from its fault or negligence, as reflected in the CPES rating sheet. In the absence of the CPES rating sheet, the existing performance monitoring system of the procuring entity shall be applied. Any of the following acts by the contractor shall be construed as poor performance. 1. Negative slippage of 15% and above within the critical path of the project due entirely to the fault or negligence of the contractor. And 2. Quality of materials and workmanship not complying with the approved specification arising from the contractor's fault or negligence. E. Willful or deliberate abandonment or non-performance of this project or contract by the contractor resulting to substantial breach thereof without lawful and/or just cause. In addition to the penalty of suspension, the performance security posted by the contractor shall also be forfeited. GCC Clause 31.1. Day works are applicable at the rate shown in the contractor's original bid. 33.1. The contractor shall submit the program of work to the procuring entity within 10 calendar days of delivery from the notice of award. 33.3. The period between program of works and updates in 1 month or 30 days, the amount to be withheld for late submission of an updated program of work is 1% of every progress billing of the contractor. 36.3. The funding source is the government of the Philippines. 43.1. The percentage to apply to the value of work not completed is at least 1/10 of 1% of the cost of the unperformed portion of every day of the GCC Clause 44.5 cases when extension of contract time may be granted, which may include the enumeration below. A. Rainy or unworkable day considered favorable for the prosecution of the works at the site. Based on the actual condition of data at the site, in excess of the number of rainy or unworkable days were determined by the procuring entity in relation to the original contract time during the contract completed engineering and in the preparation of the contract documents as agreed upon by the parties before contract perfections and or B. Major calamities such as exceptionally destructive typhoons, floods, and earthquakes and epidemics. C. Delays attributable to the procuring entity such as non-delivery on time of materials, working drawings, or written information to be furnished by the procuring entity. Non-acquisition of permit to enter private properties or non-execution of deed of sale or donation within the right of way resulting in complete paralyzation of construction activities. And D. Other meritorious causes as determined by the procuring entity and approved by the head of the procuring entity, such as shortage of construction materials, general labor strikes, and peace and order problems that disrupt construction operations through no fault of the contractor, may be considered as additional grounds for extension of contract time provided they are publicly filled and certified by appropriate government agencies such as DTI, DOLE, DILG, and DND among others. GCC Clause 48.5. The date by which operating and maintenance manuals are required is 30 calendar days. The date by which built drawings are required is 30 calendar days. 48.2. The amount to be withheld for failing to produce as-built drawings and or operating and maintenance manuals by the date required is 10% of its final contract price. Now for the bid security. Bidders are allowed to choose any of the following forms: cash or cashier checks or manager's checks issued by a bank, 2% of ABC. Bank draft, guarantee or irrevocable letter of credit issued by a bank, provided, however, that it shall be confirmed or authenticated by a local bank if issued by a foreign bank, 5% of ABC. Surety bond callable upon demand, issued by a surety or issuance company duly certified by Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security, 5% of ABC, and bid security declaration. Important notice. Bids and bid security shall be valid within 120 calendar days from the opening of bids. Now showing you here is the amount of cash, cashier's checks, manager's checks, 2% of ABC. Now, showing you here is the amount of bank guarantee, irrevocable letter of credit, and surety bond, 5% of ABC. Checklist of legal and technical requirements of the following bid proposal. Showing you here is a checklist of technical and financial documents. Submission of bids. 1. Envelope system. Documentary requirements to design paginated with air tags and bookbound for technical and financial envelopes original. 1 original and 1 duplicate copy for technical and financial place in 1 sealed envelope. Payment process of bidding documents. Monday to Thursdays at 8 a.m. to 12 to 2 p.m. and on Fridays 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Bidding dates is August 18, 2026 at 10 a.m. Now showing you here the cost of bidding documents. Important notice: the net financial contracting capacity or NFCC of the bidder shall be used in the eligibility processing. Prospective bidder must have an NFCC of at least equal to the ABC to be procured as follows. IRR section 23.5.2.6. NFCC is equal to the quantity of current assets minus current liabilities times 15. Value of persons of all outstanding work under the bidder's ongoing contracts, including awarded contracts to be started, which portions coincide with the contract to be bid. Credit line commitment shall no longer be accepted per GPPB Resolution Number 20-2013, dated July 30, 2013, and Department Order Number 37, Series of 2014, dated March 26, 2014. In the NFCC, the fixed factor of 15 shall be used in the computation of NFCC regardless of the contract duration. Work experience in similar contracts, prospective bidders must have done a single largest completed contract SLCC similar to the contract to be procured and whose value at current prices is at least 50% of the ABC to be bid. That's all. Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge the attendance of our vice chairperson, present. Any questions or modifications? By reaction?